Richard Dawkins is no friend of conservatives. The atheist author has spent much of his life deriding Judaism and Christianity. He once said that an atheist is, quote, just somebody who feels about Yahweh the way any decent Christian feels about Thor or Baal or the golden calf. Dawkins says that even moderate religious people, quote, make the world safe for extremists. He's far to the left on politics, he's pro-abortion, a supporter of the Labour Party and Liberal Democratic Party in Britain. But he is also smart enough to recognize that radical Islam is a greater threat to human life than Christianity or Judaism. Dawkins explains, quote, I have criticized the appalling misogyny and homophobia of Islam. I have criticized the murdering of apostates for no crime other than their disbelief. Muslims themselves are the prime victims of the oppressive cruelties of Islamism. Such language, of course, makes him a pariah among leftists. This week, Dawkins was scheduled to speak at an event with KPFA in Berkeley, California. All went swimmingly, until leftists realized Dawkins said some untoward things about Islam. Then they canceled the speech, citing his quote-unquote abusive speech. They explained, quote, we had booked this event based entirely on his excellent new book on science when we didn't know he had offended and hurt in his tweets and other comments on Islam so many people. KPFA does not endorse hurtful speech. This is no shock. The same left that barred Dawkins from his Berkeley event cheered this week, while Palestinian Arabs riot over metal detectors at the Temple Mount. Those leftists proclaimed the true obstacle to peace in the Middle East isn't Palestinian Arab violence, it isn't Palestinians who stab Israeli Druze police officers on the Temple Mount, or Palestinians who invade homes and slaughter old men and women, or the Palestinians in government who cheer on and financially support such behavior. Nope. The problem is the Jews. The same left that blames metal detectors for murderous assaults and Richard Dawkins for offending Islam makes excuses for radical Muslim and Women's March organizer Linda Sarsour, who has called for apostate Muslims to have their genitals removed, who says that Zionists cannot be feminists, and who stands up for terrorists and terrorist supporters. So, why does the left seek to support radical Islam so ardently? Well, because the left believes that the quickest way to destroy Western civilization is no longer class warfare, but multicultural warfare. Simply ally with groups that hate the prevailing system and work with them to take it down. Then the left will build on the ashes of the old system. In this view, Dawkins is an opponent. How can left recruit Muslims to fight the same system if Dawkins is busy alienating them? They support the Palestinian terror regime. How can that colonialist outpost, Israel, be defeated without a little blood? They applaud Sarsour. She's an ally, so that means she must be backed. Alliance with nefarious forces calls your own morality into question. KPFA has a lot more to answer for than Dawkins. But the left will never have to answer such questions so long as they focus in on their common enemy, a supposedly conservative establishment that must be fought with any tool at their disposal. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is Ben Shapiro Show. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about in Trumpville today. So President Trump is obviously attacking Attorney General Sessions. Sessions is saying that he is not going to go without being pushed out the door. We'll talk about what that means. Plus, the Senate Republicans are finally going to vote on some form of Trumpcare. We don't know exactly what that is yet, but it appears that the vote to proceed on some form of Obamacare change is going to happen. So we'll talk about that as well. Democrats in confusion. Plus, Trump talks to a bunch of children from the Boy Scouts, and it goes weird. We'll talk about all those things. But before we do that, first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at Legacy Box. So, this is a business that I think is a must-use for anybody who wants to preserve their memories. So I'm very big into preserving memories, family memories, and very into assuring that our family photos stay, ensuring that our family photos are preserved, and that our tapes are preserved, and that our videos are preserved, so we can watch them later. Well, that's exactly what Legacy Box does. And we're not just talking about digital stuff. We're talking about the stuff that you have in your garage right now. We're talking about all those little stacks and boxes of photos and film reels. You take them, you put them in a box, you send it to Legacy Box. Legacy Box gives you labels that you put on each item so you know where they are in the process. And then Legacy Box takes all that stuff and they weave it into one DVD or a set of DVDs or onto a thumb drive, and they send it back to you so it's ready to use and ready to play. And if there's a fire in your house or flood, you don't have to worry about all the memories that are going to be destroyed. That's exactly what Legacy Box is for. Over 250,000 families use them. Terrific people. Go to legacybox.com/Ben. You get a 40% discount on your order. That's legacybox.com/Ben. And again, you get that 40% discount. Legacybox.com/Ben. You know, as somebody who has grandparents who are getting up there, it'd be tragic if their memories were lost for all time. It'd be tragic if you don't preserve the memories of your grandparents, your parents, your own family. That's what Legacy Box is for. Legacybox.com/Ben. 40% off right now when you use that /Ben plus. That lets them know they'll be sent you. Okay, so President Trump is very angry at Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He has decided to make Jeff Sessions the focus of his ire. Why? Well, not because Jeff Sessions is doing a terrible job. In fact, by most accounts, he's doing a pretty good job, particularly on immigration. If there's anything that can be said about Jeff Sessions, is that he's too ardent with regard to the civil forfeiture, the attempt to grab property after an arrest but before a conviction. Right, there he's wrong. But everything else, Jeff Sessions has been doing a pretty good job as Attorney General. I haven't seen any problems with Jeff Sessions. But Trump sees one big problem, and that is Attorney General Sessions obviously has not done enough to protect Donald Trump. Trump has gotten to the point where he is starting to see everything in terms of how it affects him personally, not his presidency, him personally. And so this morning he unleashed a series of nasty tweets about Jeff Sessions. So he tweeted, quote, Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump campaign quietly working to boost Clinton. So where is the investigation, AG? And then he said, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. Where are emails and DNC server and intel leakers? And then he said, problem is that the acting head of the FBI and the person in charge of the Hillary investigation, Andrew McCabe, got $700,000 from Hillary for life. So now he's attacking the Deputy Attorney General. The acting head of the FBI. So just to put this all in perspective, in the first 6 months of the Trump administration, he's fired Mike Flynn, supposedly for lying to Vice President Pence. That's not really why that happened. He's fired the FBI Director James Comey and said openly that it's because of Comey's handling the Russian stuff. He is now threatening Attorney General Sessions. He has threatened his Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein in that New York Times interview last week. He has attacked the acting head of the FBI, and he's attacked the special counsel. So what do all these people have in common? They're all involved in the Russia investigation. All the people who he's capped or has said that he wants to cap, he is now put to the side. They're all involved in the Russia investigation, which says one of two things. Either that Trump is a narcissist when it comes to this Russia thing. He's really bothered by it. It bothers him in a significant way, and he just wants to end it by getting rid of anyone who has failed to shut it down or who continues to pursue it, or he has something to hide. Right? Those are really the only two choices. There is no choice three. So either this is pathological narcissism or this is Trump has something to hide. Now, I tend to believe it's pathological narcissism. And again, I've said before, my entire theory here is that Trump really hasn't done anything wrong, and he's ticked that everybody isn't just stopping this nonsense already, and so he wants to fire everyone. But let's be straight about Jeff Sessions here, okay? Jeff Sessions is not responsible for this. Jeff Sessions only recused himself because in his own testimony, he said that he'd never had a meeting with Russians. It turned out he'd had a meeting with Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, so he recused himself. That happened long after he was nominated and approved for the position, the actual recusal, and there's no way for him to know that this stuff was really going to come up, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, Jeff Sessions is the lifeline. He is the hard wiring into the nationalist populist movement that Trump likes to talk so much about and from which he draws his support. Sessions is the font head for the anti-immigration movement that Trump supposedly represents. So this doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. So there are a few things that I want to say about all of this. First of all, Anthony Scaramucci, the new chief of staff, he's not chief of staff yet, but he may well be, the head of communications for Donald Trump. He was on Hugh Hewitt's show this morning, and he basically said, yes, Trump wants Jeff Sessions to resign. Here's what the Mooch had to say.
The president's been tweeting this morning. I'm sure you're aware of this. Why not just fire Jeff Sessions?
Well, listen, I mean, I think the president has a certain style, a certain skill set. He's obviously frustrated. I said yesterday, I think to Sarah Murray, maybe the two of them to get together. My guess is the president doesn't want to do that. And so I think I think him and Attorney General Sessions need to work this thing out.
It's clear the president wants him gone. I have
an enormous amount of respect for the Attorney General. But I do know the president pretty well, and if there's this level of tension in the relationship that's public, you're probably right. But I don't want to speak for the president on that because he's a cabinet official, and I sort of think that has to be between the president of the United States and the cabinet official.
So Scaramucci says, I don't know what he's going to do, but yeah, he sort of should go. So there are a bunch of questions here. Number one is why Trump doesn't just fire him. There's a rumor today that Trump was doing this just because this is what Trump does, meaning that he got rid of Comey in the most humiliating way possible. He fired him while he was on the West Coast speaking to a bunch of FBI cadets, and then he saw it on TV. So now he's doing the same thing to Jeff Sessions. Again, the problem here is that Sessions himself is pretty popular with the right wing of the Republican Party, especially because of immigration issues, and that reputation is well-deserved. So let's talk about some of the problems here. Number one, President Tough Guy McBallsy over here, if he's going to fire Sessions, he should just fire Sessions. So he made his entire career on I'm going to fire people, but instead he's giving Sessions the runaround. Why? Because he wants Sessions to resign. He wants Sessions to do it on his own. He doesn't want to fire Sessions because for some reason Trump thinks that if he openly pressures Sessions to quit and then Sessions quit, the blowback won't come back to Trump, that somehow Sessions will be blamed for that. I don't know where he's getting that idea, but it's foolish. If Sessions quits at this point, no one's going to blame him. Everybody's going to blame Trump. Second point, this is a very dangerous precedent that's being set by the Trump White House, and that is that if you're not obsequious enough to President Trump, or if you don't spend your entire career capital trying to support President Trump in every single way, then he should throw you out. Scaramucci said something else in this Hewitt interview. He said, Eric Holder acted as a goalie for President Obama. We need somebody who's going to act as a goalie for President Trump. Okay, that's really not the job of the Attorney General, and just because Eric Holder did the wrong thing doesn't mean that Jeff Sessions should either. Scaramucci, of all people, shouldn't be talking about this, considering he tweeted just a few months ago that he was in favor of Sessions recusing himself. But this kind of nasty tenor that's come to the Trump White House, which is, if you don't scrape and bow before Trump obsequiously enough, then he's going to behead you, Joffrey style. Really, really unpleasant, right? Sean Spicer wasn't just ousted, he was humiliated. Trump refused to take him on that tour of the Vatican, even though Spicer's a lifelong Catholic, very ardent Catholic, and wanted to meet the Pope, and Trump left him behind. Yesterday, Trump was speaking to the Boy Scouts. He brought virtually all of the Eagle Scouts in his administration to this event. He left Jeff Sessions at home. Okay, third point here, Trump right now is supposed to be pushing healthcare, and we'll talk about Trump pushing healthcare in just a minute. Immediately after he tweeted all this stuff about Jeff Sessions, he fired off a bunch of tweets. He tweeted, "Big day for healthcare after 7 years of talking. We will soon see whether or not Republicans are willing to step up to the plate. Obamacare is torturing the American people," etc., etc. Well, that should be the entire messaging of the day, should it not? And that way, when the Senate votes, as it did, I believe, to proceed on a motion to proceed on some form of Trumpcare bill, then he can claim victory. He can say, look, it was me, right? Instead, all the headlines today are going to be about Jeff Sessions, and that is Trump's own fault. That is Trump's own fault, and there's no way to escape that. Okay, another point here, and this is the big one, I think, and the reason that you're seeing a split among conservatives about Trump doing this stuff. Like, there wasn't a big split among conservatives about Trump firing Comey. I said that Trump should have fired Comey. I was fine with Trump firing Comey. I just thought that his excuse for doing so was stupid and problematic. But firing Comey itself, I didn't see any problem with. Firing Sessions, a lot of people, including Breitbart, which has been a cheerleader for Trump all the way through, Brit Hume, who really likes Trump on Fox News, all the people on the right are now saying Sessions is a bridge too far. There's a reason for this. And the reason for that is that Jeff Sessions is a deeply conservative guy when it comes to immigration. So, story time. Okay, a few years back, I think it was about 3 years ago, there was a Horowitz Freedom Center event. And this Horowitz Freedom Center event essentially included a dinner. And after the dinner, there was a late night drinking session. It was basically a bunch of people hanging around. By the end of the night, the only people who were hanging around were me and Jeff Sessions and a bunch of me, Jeff Sessions, Stephen Miller, and Coulter. That was the entire drinking session. Right? It was 4 of us, and we were sitting around. The only topic that was discussed the entire evening was immigration, and it was very clear that this was the working group for what would become the Trump administration. In fact, later, Steve Bannon, my former boss over at Breitbart, would apparently commission a white paper in 2015 from Coulter and Miller at that time was an aide to Sessions, for an immigration policy. And so a lot of the ideas that made Trump president, a lot of the immigration ideas that made Trump president came directly from Jeff Sessions. In fact, Jeff Sessions said to me at the time, at this dinner, he said that he was looking for a candidate to support in the Republican race who would embrace his immigration program. Trump was that man. In fact, Sessions was one of the first people on board with this whole thing. Sessions is one of the first people to endorse Trump, right? Much earlier than anybody else. And now Trump is turning around crapping all over him because he doesn't like what he's doing on Russia. What's happening right now is basically everybody who wants policy inside the Trump administration is being sidelined in favor of people who show personal loyalty to Trump. So, Spicer, who wants policy, out. Reince, who wants policy, sidelined. Bannon, who wants policy, sidelined. Sessions, who wants policy, sidelined. Right? All the people who actually want conservative policy currently are being sidelined in favor of Jared and Ivanka, personal loyalty to Trump. Scaramucci, personal loyalty to Trump. Gary Cohn, personal loyalty to Trump. A lot of people who are really Democrats who have a lot of personal loyalty to Trump, and Trump is surrounding himself with those people. Getting rid of Sessions would be a disaster area because that basically means the only person he's going to appoint as Attorney General is somebody who's going to vow to fire the special counsel. If the special counsel is fired, you're going to see all hell break loose in Washington, D.C. It doesn't mean impeachment, at least not right now. It does mean that you're going to see a lot of kickback from Senate Republicans, and Trump's agenda completely stalls. Final point on the Sessions thing, and then I want to talk about some other topics. President Trump, in this tweet storm about Sessions, once again, he uses Hillary Clinton as his excuse. I grow tired and weary of this routine. Okay, Hillary Clinton was vanquished by President Trump. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you for that. We don't have Hillary Clinton as our president, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. Now, she's gone. Stop it. Enough. Okay, she's not important anymore. Okay, the fact is that you're not angry with Jeff Sessions because of Hillary Clinton, just like you weren't angry at FBI Director Comey over Hillary Clinton. This is all just red meat for rubes, okay? People who believe that President Trump is actually angry at Jeff Sessions over Hillary Clinton, that's nonsense, okay? It was President Trump who instructed Jeff Sessions and everybody who's investigating to leave the Clinton family alone back in December. This is public. Okay, there was no secret about this. So this notion that he just throws out Hillary Clinton's name and we're all supposed to just bow before his wishes, it's really silly, okay? Hillary has nothing to do with this. Hillary may well deserve to be prosecuted. I'd be fine with prosecuting Hillary Clinton, although it'd be very difficult now that Trump has basically tainted the entire jury pool of the United States. But, you know, I'm fine with that. But to pretend that that's what this Sessions thing is about, that is just an excuse. Everybody knows that the real thing that's happening here is he's ticked that Sessions won't act as his shield on Russia, and so he's acting out against Sessions. This is a pretty stark litmus test for a lot of conservatives. Are you going to stand with the president getting rid of an actual conservative on his key issue, immigration, inside his cabinet for no reason other than personal pique? There is no other reason. It's just he's mad, okay? Are you going to stand with that because Trump? Or are you going to say, Mr. President, you want to get good policy done? We do too. You want to see this Russia investigation thing come to a good close? We do too. You can't fire the attorney general who helped get you there and who has been the stalwart on the key issue in your campaign. Again, this is not me saying this alone, okay? This is even his greatest allies, like Breitbart, are saying this sort of thing. So, this is not anything new. But again, I think that it goes to a character problem that Trump has, and that is that he's so ensconced in his own narcissism. He's so pathologically narcissistic that he's willing to fire even the people who are his friends. Right? The only friends he has left are family at this point, and that's really not a good way to run the operation. Sessions, for his own sake, he says, I'm not leaving. He says, if Trump wants to fire me, he's going to have to fire me, which, by the way, is a good conservative move. Okay, if Trump wants to own this, let Trump own it. Don't let him off the hook. Make Trump fire Jeff Sessions. We need Jeff Sessions in place, not for civil asset forfeiture, but we need Jeff Sessions in place for immigration. We need Jeff Sessions in place for application of the law. We need him in place to strengthen the police. There are 1,000 reasons that Jeff Sessions at AG is a good thing for the conservative movement, but him being forced out by Trump is just a disaster. Okay, so I want to talk about Trump at the Boy Scouts, which is actually more hilarious than it was upsetting. The left is very upset about this. I want to talk about why I was laughing at it, but first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at Mack Weldon. So, Mack Weldon is better than whatever you are wearing right now. They make undergarments, they make underwear, socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, sweatpants, all the comfort wear that you actually spend most of your life in when you're not at the office, and even when you're at the office, considering underwear and socks. That's what Mack Weldon puts you in, and it is just high-quality stuff. They have a line of silver underwear and shirts that are naturally antimicrobial, meaning they eliminate odor, and they want you to be comfortable, so if you don't like your first pair, you can keep it, and they'll still refund you, no question asked. They look good. They perform well, too. One of my pet peeves about underwear is that underwear wears out incredibly quickly, and depending on how many times you put it through the wash. I've had Mack Weldon underwear, pairs of Mack Weldon underwear for months now, and they are exactly the same as when I bought them new. They are just fantastic. Mack Weldon, check it out, mackweldon.com, and get 20% off your order using promo code Shapiro. That's SHAPIRO. Mack Weldon is spelled MACKWELDON. Mackweldon.com. Get 20% off using that promo code Shapiro. Again, the best stuff, the best underwear, the best socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, sweatpants in the business. Go ahead and check them out and use promo code Shapiro so that they know that we sent you. All right, so when Trump isn't busy trying to fire his attorney general for no apparent reason, the Trump is speaking with the Boy Scouts. But I want to get to that in just a second. First, I want to discuss what's happening on the floor of the Senate. So the latest on the floor of the Senate is that the Senate is going to vote on a motion to proceed on something. We don't know what that something is. We don't know what exactly it's supposed to be. We do know that that there's a good shot that 51 senators are going to vote in favor of some sort of thing, right? They're going to vote in favor of some sort of thing. So there's two things that have to happen. One, 51 senators have to vote on a motion to proceed. That means that they will take up the House version of Obamacare replacement, and then you actually have to pass a bill. So the key vote is this one, because once you get past that, then it's just a question of hashing out the details. Now, it could still fall apart. It could be the details suck. We don't know the answer to that, but Trump is bringing on the pressure, and this is where Trump is doing something good, okay? This is what Trump should be focused on. So yesterday, Trump was out there stumping on Obamacare, and he said, Obamacare is death. Okay, fair enough. Here he is.
President Trump using the power of his presidential bully pulpit against the backdrop of the Blue Room and the faces of what the White House calls the victims of Obamacare.
It was a big, fat, ugly lie.
With doom and gloom declarations, the president railed against the law of the land, not surprisingly swiping at Democrats.
They run out, they say death, death, death. Well, Obamacare is death.
Okay, so that's fair enough from President Trump, and he was pushing very hard. He was complimenting Senator McCain, who he's not always been warm with. Senator McCain just showed up on the Senate floor and gave a speech that is being hailed by a lot of people with regard to President Trump and with regard to the Republican handling of Obamacare in the House or in the Senate. And I'm sure we'll have more clips of that tomorrow for you because it's sort of a big moment. Trump also is attempting to push senators. He says the senators who don't vote for whatever this is, we don't know what this is yet, but who don't vote for this, own Obamacare. Here's his push.
They want to forget about the countless Americans they've hurt and the many that they are continuing to hurt every day by refusing to help us replace Obamacare. For the last 7 years, Republicans have been united in standing up for Obamacare's victims. Remember, repeal and replace, repeal and replace. They kept saying it over and over again. Every Republican running for office promised immediate relief from this disastrous law. We as a party must fulfill that solemn promise to the voters of this country to repeal and replace what they've been saying for the last 7 years. But so far, Senate Republicans have not done their job in ending the Obamacare nightmare.
Okay, so Trump putting the pressure on his fellow Republicans in the Senate. McCain basically called for bipartisanship. And we will see if he votes in favor of the motion to proceed. So we'll give you all the updates on that as it comes in. Trump is doing the right thing in putting pressure on the Senate to take this up. The big question is going to be what's in that bill? What's in that bill? It is not sufficient just to pass any bill. And I know that you're going to hear a lot from Republican partisans today saying, well, they have to vote for something. Okay, well, it depends on what the something is. Do you want to own Obamacare and put the GOP stamp of approval on it? Right now, what they're talking about is something they're calling skinny repeal, okay, which is, again, just their branding effort is spectacular. Skinny repeal would apparently be getting rid of the individual mandate. I don't think it reinforces the new version of the mandate, but getting rid of the individual mandate, getting rid of some of the taxes, getting rid of the employer mandate. So it gets rid of the funding mechanism for Obamacare, in other words. That would exacerbate the death spiral, and then the Republicans would have to come up with some new legislation to deal with the fallout from that. Which presumably they would do in another bill after they pass this one. So that's not a terrible strategy as far as it goes. But we'll talk more about that. Plus, Trump spoke at the Boy Scouts, and it was pretty hilarious. We'll talk about that in just a second. But for that, you're going to have to go over to dailywire.com and subscribe. For $9.99 a month, you can subscribe to Daily Wire. Yes, you, the person listening right now. We're a video show. You can watch the show, see the clips, see my faces of bemusement and amazement about politics. And not only that, you get the website ad-free. You get to be part of the mailbag. We will only answer your questions if you're part of the mailbag. You can be part of Andrew Klavan's podcast as well. And Michael Knowles, God help us, has a show coming out as well that you can be a part of that comes out next week. All of that when you get your subscription over at Daily Wire. If you want the annual subscription, which is what I recommend, you also get a magnificent, unbelievable tumbler. It is so precious, I had to leave it in my studio at home. I could not bring it with me because it is too precious to carry with me. It must be left in a guarded vault where we have 3 security guards so that the Joker doesn't steal it. It says leftist tears, hot or cold. You get that for free when you become an annual subscriber for just $99 a year. So go over and check that out over at dailywire.com. If you want to listen later, go to iTunes or SoundCloud. Subscribe, leave us a review. We always appreciate it. We are the largest conservative podcast in the nation.